30 FTE, it would be 2,500. From 30 to 130, it's 2,500 plus 25 per FTE above 30. And then that brings you all the way to 5,000. If you're up to 130 FTE or more, it's the same 5,000. So it maxes out at 5,000.
Okay.
But if you have multiple colleges at a university implementation, then there's about a 40% discount for a university license as opposed to individual college licenses.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay. Now, I think you alluded to this, but with that survey tool, if you were to use that, does it automatically pull data into your activity reports, or could it? Or is that what you were mentioning some faculty are doing?
They can upload that on the teaching schedule. This, again, at the faculty level, but you can attach any file that you want to any of these sections of any course that you teach. So if you wanted to do that, you could click on Manage, then upload file and attach it to that record.
Okay, okay. Pretty slick.
What about your assessment of programs? Are you involved in any of that?
Well, we're just submitted information for accreditation, so we certainly, are pulling data and surveying alumni and things of that nature. But as a faculty member, I am not involved so much in comparing or anything other than our own growth and development of our program.
Okay. Well, just so that you'll know, we have a module for assessment where you can enter your programs and your learning goals and objectives and traits and outcomes. And then once you enter that, it will build a rubric for you that you can score online, or that you can get managers who will score on behalf of the faculty members. And those scores will be automatically tabulated and then graphed, and you can assign, there's a place where you can write, this is what we did well, this is what we didn't do so well, this is what we plan to change. So there's a place where you can keep the history of that rubric over multiple semesters and see any progress or lack of progress in that rubric for that objective.
And that's by program?
At some point, if you get interested, I can walk you through that whole process. Or it may not be you, it may be someone else.
Mm-hmm. That's by program, John?
Yes, by program.
Okay.
All right. Do you want to kind of see the interface for the member level?
Yeah, let's please.
All right. This, when you log in as a faculty member, this is what you see, and I've just logged into mine. When I log in, I can only affect my own stuff. I can't affect anybody else's. Although if I'm entering an article, for example, and I have co-authors that are colleagues, then I can choose them from a list, and it will put a record in a pending file for my colleagues to go in and say either, yeah, I want to accept that record that another co-author has put in for me, or I'll reject it if I've already put it in for myself. So it gives you the ability to be more efficient in data entry. For a number of years, I didn't allow even that. I didn't want one disgruntled faculty member to say he was a co-author with this other prestigious faculty member, and it put a cuss word in the title of the article, and it would automatically go to the. And you have to think of everything. If it could happen, then you say, well, it will happen. So anyway, within the last couple of years, I've created this pending table that allows the co-authors to actually accept or reject records that have been entered on their behalf.
Interesting. You bet.
All right, I'm going to click on articles and journal. Sounds like you've got some buddies there.
It's our last day home with the kids, and so
that's great.
Yeah, trying to get something done, but they're around here.
All right. I just clicked on articles and journals, and this lists all the articles that I've entered as a faculty member. And from here, it's just a database, so I can edit, I can add, I can delete, I can click on Manage and upload a PowerPoint or a PDF or a Word document or Excel spreadsheet and attach it to that record. And then when the CV is rendered, there'll be a hyperlink there where you can not only see the record, but you can see the papers associated with that record.
Nice. Did you create this
All right,
system yourself, John?
Yeah, it's been, I was thinking about it earlier this year. It's been 20 years that I've been working on this.
Huh.
It's, I never intended it to be a commercial product. I was just doing it. So my administrators, I was at University of Tennessee and University of Middle Tennessee. They were constantly in my office asking for information that I thought I'd already gotten for them several times, but they needed it in a different format or sorted differently or whatever. So I thought it really needs to be a database where the only responsibility a faculty member has is to enter it one place and one time, and then he's done. That's all his responsibility is. And so if administrators want to get together and create reports, they'll have the data. They don't have to involve the faculty member in that anymore.
Nice.
Anyway, that was the motivation. So 20 years later, here we are.
Where are you currently at now?
I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee. I was at the University of Tennessee, but it's been 11 years. I resigned 11 years ago, and I'm just doing this full time.
Nice, great. Well, I've heard, like I said, I never heard of it before, but now that I'm looking for it, I've heard from multiple colleagues around the country that are using it or have heard of it. So it's.
Yeah. Which discipline are you with?
I'm in education, the School of Education at Drake.
Okay. And we have. My background is business, so that's where I came out of when I was writing this, when I was designing this. But we have lots of non-business schools who use this, many education colleges, nursing. All the ABET reports for engineering are in here. And education, as far as I know, they still don't have specified reports that are required by the accrediting. Is that correct?
Well, that's a good question. I know we had special areas that we had to report out on, but I don't know if there was no specific, what do we want to say, instrument. We wound up putting all of our exhibits in Blackboard and submitting. We use Google Docs to kind of collaborate on the report itself.
Yeah.
So.
Well, all I'm saying is, as these accrediting bodies mature more and more, and they have pre-specified reports that are required, then I'll put those in Sedona. But as of yet, the AACSB, ACBSP, the ABET, those are the only ones that have gotten to that point where they have required formatted reports. But as soon as nursing does, they're close. As soon as education, I think they're close, then we'll also do that. We have EQUIS reports for, well, it's not just European schools. A lot of our Australian schools and New Zealand schools use EQUIS as well as the European schools. Some of our U.S. schools use EQUIS. Are you familiar with EQUIS at all?
I am not, John.
Okay. Anyway, there's only a handful of accrediting bodies that have pre-specified reports that are required, but we have those instead of them.
Nice.
All right. This is, if you can see these red asterisks, those are required fields, so if you try to save that without filling in those required fields, it's not going to let you. It just prevents holes from being in the reports at the administrative level, so we require a handful of those fields on each screen. This is where you put the title of the article. This is a drop-down list of journals, so each college will manage its own list of approved journals. And if a faculty member is published in a journal that's not on the list, then they can click this first one and petition that the journal be added to the list of approved journals. And at the college level, and I'll go up, let's see if I've still got that up. I can log in there though. Let's see. I could just enter the demo. Yeah, there's a petition manager here, and if 5 or 6 petitions have come in, then you'll see a red 5 or 6 number after the petition manager there, and you can go in and either say, yes, this is a journal that's appropriate for our required list of journals, our approved list of journals, or it's not, and it will communicate that back to the petitioning faculty member. So most schools have between 150 and 200 unique journals that their faculty are published in over a 5-year period. And so it's a lot easier to manage that smaller list than, like for instance, in business, Cabell's I think has 11,000 journal outlets now. I'm not sure about education, but I'm sure there's
a lot.
many thousands of journals that you could be published in. But this just allows you to get a smaller list to manage, and then you can petition, faculty can petition journals that are not on your list, and then you can add those if it's appropriate.
Now, who would do that? The dean or promotion and tenure?
You can assign that to an administrator could, of course, but you could assign it to a faculty member as well, or to a committee of faculty members. You know, whoever has that knowledge and the authority to make that decision.
Okay.
And one way that we start that process, if you have 5 or 6 departments within a college, you could ask them for a list of 20 journals that their faculty typically are published in, and we could preload that with those journals, and then you can add from there. This can be turned on or turned off. You can assign a mission code if you want to each activity in Sedona. You can also assign an impact indicator if you want, but those can be turned on or turned off. This type of research here, basic, applied, teaching and learning, that can also be turned off if you don't want to track that. So a number of these fields can be turned off if you don't want them to appear.
Okay.
This is where I was saying you could check colleagues who are co-authors, and if you check those, then when you save it, it puts a record out in their pending table, so that when they log in, they'll be able to see this article was entered on their behalf. This assumes, because I'm logged in as me, that I'm the first author, and if that's not the case, you can just drag it down and drop it in the appropriate spot. So this is the order in the publication itself.
Oh, okay.
Just enter the information there.
Nice.
Proceedings are similar, except there's one difference. There's not a petition that you have to make for a conference proceedings. If the conference is not in this drop-down list, and that drop-down list is created as your faculty enter data from conference proceedings. If it's not in that list, they simply type it in there, and then it becomes part of the list the next time that someone's in there. And the good part is they don't have to petition. The bad part is they'll misspell the conference or abbreviate the conference. But we have a conference manager. I'm back at the college level, and you can go in there and you can edit and make changes, and it will spin through the database and make those changes. So you'd have an administrator look at that conference list, I don't know, every month or two, make sure that it's clean.
Okay.
The rest of those, like grants, they're similar. They have different fields that they're tracking, but it's very similar to the other intellectual contributions, the research, ad edit screens. Service is a little bit different. University service, the departments and the colleges and the universities can enter their own list of committees, and then once they set those up, then everybody who's on those committees, the information shows up on their CV automatically. So if I go back to the college level, everything is driven by lists. And so if I want a new committee, I can click on committee and then add, and then select who the chair is, who the co-chair, who the faculty members are. So when I do that and save it, then it automatically puts that information on everybody's CV who's on that committee. So you have university committees, college committees, departmental committees, and I recommend putting those in at the administrative levels so that your faculty don't have to worry about entering those themselves. And there's also, on this report side, you can track the minutes to those committees, and you can search for keywords. So you can add committees, or let's see if there's some in there. There's not, but this demo is not going to let me save anything on here. But this is where you would add committees, the minutes, and then you can do a search on keywords. So if that's what you're trying to search for, you could put that in the search field and then say go, and it will spin across all your committees and find those where that keyword's being used.
That's helpful.
Yeah. Again, we're at the college level here, the administrative level. Now let's go back to the member level. Each of these categories has subcategories, so that professional service, if I click on there and add, then this activities list is your customized list of activities. So you can track whatever you want to track at the activity level. And it's kind of like your chart of accounts if you're familiar with accounting at all.
Mm-hmm.
You can enter that information here at the college level under activities. So if I click on activities and then go to, say, professional service, this is the drop-down list of items that your faculty can choose from. And if you need more, I mean, these are items that we've collected over a 20-year period, but you can customize this list so that you're tracking just what you need to track at Drake. And it will actually count the number of records associated with each one of these activities. You can also use these activities to pull onto a scorecard. We have a scorecard module that lets you pull any activity that you want. You can weight that activity however you want. You can arrange those activities and then put a benchmark on that scorecard, and then you can benchmark against the faculty on that scorecard. And this just shows you which activities have been used in the scorecard. Some universities have pay-for-performance scorecards, and so you can create one of those and then spin through the database, benchmarking them on that scorecard, and everybody who has above a 300 on the scorecard is eligible for those pay-for-performance dollars. And there are a number of things that you can do with that. All right, so again, that drop-down list of professional service, that's your customizable list, so you can create and track whatever you want to.
Okay.
The only difference in the professional service and the other items is that you can select multiple years. So if you were an editor, for example, for a peer-reviewed journal, then you might have performed that service for multiple years. So you just select all those years and then save it, and it will put a record out there for each of those 4 years. But on your CV, it will combine all that together into a single line. And it needs a record for each year because when we get to the CV, it's a template, and you can say which components you want to pull out of the database and how you want to filter each one of those components. So you may want just the last 3 years worth of service, and so you have to have a record for each year so it can make that determination of which should be pulled onto the template and which should not be.
Are you able to show me kind of an example of the CV?
Yeah. We were just going through those data entry screens. The rest of those are very similar. The only thing that I would mention is the teaching schedule is uploaded at the administrative level each semester. Faculty are not required to enter their own teaching schedules. In fact, you don't want them to do that. We have an uploads manager back at the college level. It's right here. And so it will take CSV files. Any data that you want to pull into Sedona, you can pull it up through our uploads manager. But certainly the teaching schedules will be pulled in that way. And then that drives all the student credit hour reports that are in Sedona.
Can that,
Right.
just thinking out loud here, we use Blackboard. My Deuces in
Yeah.
Blackboard, so I'm assuming once students are enrolled, you can probably download an Excel file and then re-upload it in here.
Right, and that's what our schools normally do. Whether it's Blackboard or DataTel, or there's a number of different systems that capture that teaching information. But in the Uploads Manager, it's just a matter of, I don't know, 8 or 10 fields. It's not a big deal. But, I mean, it is a big deal because you're using that to populate your student credit hour reports.
Yep.
Right. It's very easy. Okay, so let's just assume that the database is populated, whether you've used the Uploads Manager or you've gone into these screen by screen. And again, this was designed as a self-service web application, but we have schools that completely block out their faculty, and an administrator performs all the data input, or student workers or whomever. It wasn't designed for that, but we do have schools who have done that. The way it was designed is to allow the faculty member to take control of his or her own data and responsibility for that. And so we encourage the faculty, as things occur during the semester, just enter it into the software right then. And that way they won't forget things, and there's not a big crunch time. This creates a database as you enter the data that not only populates your CV and not only pulls information that is needed for accreditation, but at the end of the year you can use our evaluation builder to create an evaluation for faculty that builds off this same data. And then we have an e-portfolio manager that supports tenure and promotion that builds off the same data. So you're building this data set that is going to be the single source for all these different reports and accrediting agencies and evaluations and tenure and promotion packages. They all draw from that same single data set.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And again, as a faculty member, I was just so tired of entering the same information for various different purposes. I thought that is ridiculous. And at some point, it becomes demeaning for a faculty member to do that. So I just wanted this database where I could just enter it one time, and then it would supply data for whatever needs the administration has.
That was one of the.
So we're gonna click on CV, and I'll just show you mine. And this is a dynamically generated CV, and it's based on whatever template that you have and whatever components that you have pulled into that template and whatever parameters that you've applied to the components in that template. So it's all dynamically driven. So there's an academic background component, professional certification. Here's a work experience component. Here's teaching. So this is the teaching schedule that automatically comes in when that teaching schedule is uploaded at the administrative level. It will show up. If that's a component in your template, it'll show up automatically there. Here's a intellectual contributions grid, and it will count the number of articles and books and proceedings and grants and presentations, and it will divide, if you want it to, divide the research type into basic, applied, and teaching and learning. There's a section on just details for refereed articles, and you see these hyperlinks here.
Mm-hmm.
That just indicates that I have either uploaded a PDF file or Word document, or I've pointed to it. One of the fields in those data entry screens is a URL field, so you don't actually have to upload the paper. You can just point to it if it already exists on a server there at Drake or anywhere else.
Okay.
But anyway, you can click on these hyperlinks, and it will pull up the paper or your PowerPoint presentation. So it gives a faculty member the ability to organize everything about being a faculty member in one place at one time. And I was constantly going to present papers at a conference, and I would spend 3 or 4 hours on a PowerPoint presentation, and then a couple of months after the conference, I'd think, what did I do with that PowerPoint presentation? This allows you to actually attach that PowerPoint to the record in Sedona, and then forget about it, and it's there.
Yeah, that's
and
nice.
It's available for your year-end evaluation. It's there, and then it's available for your reviewers to see when you're a candidate going up for tenure promotion. So it automatically catalogs those uploads or those links into your library, and it's there.
Two questions, John. So when we looked at that survey builder before, if you give a survey in class, will that can you point and make those surveys also evidence in your portfolio?
Yeah, like I was saying, you can attach that to any section of any class of any semester that's in your teaching schedule. So that'll be right there as a link on your teaching schedule.
Okay, second question. The use is, in your experience here, I know your intended purpose of this. Now I'm thinking as a non-tenured faculty member, and my frustration is similar. I produce an annual activity report to your department chair, and then working on a promotion and tenure portfolio, and it just seems like you're justifying your efforts a lot that take away from another research article or something else you could be doing
Right.
quite often. So do you often
Exactly.
see that this CV that can go in lots of different directions, kind of comprehensive, is satisfactory for a promotion and tenure and the dean in the review process, or do you see that they still normally want a separate body of evidence?
No, this has access, gives your administrators and your reviewers access to everything that they would need to make an evaluation on a faculty member. And
Okay.
we're just looking at one template. A template is just a single view of the database. So one of those views would be a CV. Another might be an annual report. Another might be, you can have as many of these templates or views of the database as you want. And when we go to the template builder, it'll become clear to you. These templates are they're dynamic in that you can pull any component out of the database that's appropriate for that particular use of that template. So you might have a template that emphasizes research above everything else, and so you would only pull research components, and you would save that as a template. Another template would be a full career-wide CV template. Another one would be just the activities that would be appropriate for an annual review. Another one would be for a 5-year or 7-year tenure review. So you can have as many different templates for whatever purpose that you want. And
Okay.
they all draw from the same database, but they draw different components that will support the purpose for which they're used.
Just put whatever parameters you put on it. It's going to pull that data once that faculty member puts it in that first time.
Absolutely. And the college or the university can create a college-wide or a university-wide CV template that's standardized across faculty, and they will probably want to do that. But a faculty member, maybe they've been working with their Word document for 25 years, and they like the way that they've structured their Word document. And so they can create a customized CV template in Sedona that looks like their Word document, so that when they click on CV as a faculty member, it will pull their information through their customized CV template. But when an administrator clicks on CV for them, it pulls their information through that standardized college-wide CV template. So again, you have a lot of flexibility, and you can create as many of these templates for whatever purpose that you want.
That's nice. Does this print just like it looks?
Yep, I was going to show you that next. You can take this to PDF or to Word. I'll just click on PDF, and it will take that exact template, whatever we're in. It will take the structure of that template and create a PDF or a Word document of that. I don't know why it's taking its time, but it should be immediate. I don't know. Are you seeing what I'm seeing now?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Anyway, that's the same format as we saw before. Now it strips out all the edit and the delete. This actually lets you edit and add and delete from the CV itself. But when you take it to a PDF, it will strip all that out.
Okay.
All right, so let's go to the, one thing I'm going to show you. I mentioned when you upload files or link, put in a URL link, then it will catalog that automatically in your library. That's the library right here, and then you can explode research and then articles, and that gives you everything that you've either uploaded or provided a URL link for. So it creates automatically a library for the faculty members. And again, this is what's available for reviewers at the annual review or the tenure and promotion review. Okay, let's go to the template builder. And again, this is available at all different levels of Sedona. The one that we just looked at is called My CV. But any template that has been created above you, you can copy it and then edit the copy. You can't edit the original, of course, but you can copy it and edit the copy. So the one that comes with Sedona is in purple. Any that the university creates, they're going to be in white. Any that the college creates are going to be in green. If departments create some, they're going to be in yellow. And then the member, those templates are going to be in red. So I'm going to just click on My CV. And you remember that was the first component, academic background. So if we look at that, there it is, academic background. But we can drag these around. So if you want that academic background down above work experience, you just drag it and drop it there. And now when we generate that CV, it's right above work experience. So you can drag these wherever you want. You can change the parameters of those, or you can create a new one. Let me just click on New. I'll say Drake and apply. And now if you look under your templates, you've got one that's called Drake. So we'll just load that and we're ready to go. So there's insert, there's edit, copy, delete. If I insert, you'll notice these are the different zones on the data entry screens on the member console, research service, teaching. And if I click on research, then I have all the links underneath research, articles, proceedings. So if you've entered data in Sedona, you automatically know how to create a template because those processes are mapped. So I'm just going to use the default parameters. I'll apply that. If you don't have a title, you don't even need that first parameter or component. So all it does is goes to the database and pulls the journal articles. I haven't filtered anything. All right, let me add maybe one or two more. Let's go get a grid. And maybe we want that grid to be first, so I'm going to drag it up above the journal articles. So now we've got a grid, and we've got articles. And I'll add professional service. So service components and professional service, apply. And you can also add display components like maybe a section. Put section and I'll say research. And then you can copy that and just change the title. And copy that and edit the title to be service. So that'll give us enough to work with.
Just a heading before you have your list.
What's that?
Yep, I'm following you.
Okay. All right, so I'm going to move this research section above research component, and then I'll indent those components. And I'll move service above the service component. So you can kind of see how you can work with it. And now we've got two sections, a research section and a service section. I've got two components under research, grid and articles. And then I've got professional service.
Nice.
And I chose that just so I can show you how to filter. This goes back to 1994. So if you don't want it to cover all years, then you just go to the parameters, edit this component. The default is all years, but you can make it the last 5 or last 10. Or if you're really good at service in even years, you can just choose the even years. It doesn't matter. Once it's in the database, you can filter it however you want. Remember, this is your list of customizable activities that you want to track, so you can actually filter by your customized list of activities. So you can pull onto this component, onto this template, specifically the data that you want to appear for whatever purpose that you set. I'm just going to apply that, and now when I view that, it's going to filter professional service so that it only has 2016, 2014, and 2012.
Wow, that's fantastic.
That's where you can set the research, the reference style. So when you enter data, you don't have to worry, should I underline this or put this in quotation marks or italicize? You don't have to worry about that. You just enter the raw data, and then when you create a template, you say how you want that to be displayed back out. So data entry and display are independent of each other. If you're doing creating this template across your faculty, then you'll be able to pull in whatever fields from this list of fields and make a header out of that, and it will populate that header with the appropriate values out of the database.
And this is where a faculty member could probably personalize their own?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Anyway, that's our template builder, and that really gives you a lot of power over the data and how it's displayed back into a report. And again, you can have as many of these templates as you want.
That's an outstanding tool.
I'll show you this real quickly, the self-evaluation. I mentioned that you can create at the administrative level an evaluation. What that does is let you use combine the template builder to pull whatever components for whatever years are appropriate, probably just 1 year with an annual evaluation. But you can pull that in, and also you can embed questions with our survey builder. You can embed questions that you want, and you can turn those questions either to be answered by the faculty members or to be answered by their evaluators. So you create this annual evaluation, and then you activate it, and then faculty can respond to it. This is just a simple example. I have a component, the refereed articles, that's in there, the grid's in there, and then I've inserted some questions that I want the faculty to respond to. So the faculty member can respond there and then submit. And once they submit it, it goes up to the department level, and the chair can see all of his or her faculty self-evaluations, and then the chair or the committee can evaluate those faculty. And then it would go to the dean's level, and the dean can see all faculty evaluations, all chairs' evaluations of the faculty, and then the dean can evaluate all the chairs and any non-supervised faculty. So it supports that whole process.
And I'm assuming then we do a peer observation and feedback. You could probably also build in a peer observation template
for your annual evaluation, or for tenure and promotion.
Well, probably for tenure and promotion, but I think all faculty are asked to. Non-tenure is every year, and tenured I think is every 3 years.
Okay. Yeah, you can. In fact, you can make whatever CVs available so that we call them coordinators. They can see the CVs of everybody that they've been given authority to look at. So, yeah, you can certainly do that.
What's the e-portfolio feature, John?
That is for supporting the tenure and promotion. And let's see if I'm logged in. Let me log in to where I can show you that real quick.
Just caught my attention because I'm doing a online portfolio for promotion and tenure myself.
Yeah. Well, this is, if you click on the e-portfolio, this is created at the college level. I'll just load this here. You can have as many different e-portfolios as you want. But this allows you to select what your e-portfolio template is going to look like. You go to the template builder and create it based on the university specifications for tenure and promotion. So each university is going to be different, but the data is going to be in the database. So you'll just create an e-portfolio package that complies with the university requirements for tenure. And then you select what you designed there and put it in here. So you just select the template. Here you create a survey that you want your reviewers to fill out on the candidates, and you use our survey builder to do that, and you go select it here. And then you enter a date where you want the candidates to confirm by. So if you're a candidate and the candidates will be shown in the database who's up for tenure promotion. But when they log in, they'll receive a message saying, you are a candidate for tenure promotion. We need you to go in and make sure that your ePortfolio package is complete and correct. And you might give them a couple of weeks to do that.
Yeah.
And then once they confirm, it will take that dynamic template that we've been talking about, and it will instantiate that into a static PDF file. And so at that point, the candidate is looking at the same document that the administrators are looking at, and it's the same one that the reviewers are looking at. So it becomes a static document, and everybody's looking at the same document. This is where you would choose your external reviewers, and you can have as many as you want there. You just give their contact information, and once you click on notify, it will send messages to everybody who's on this evaluation that it's ready, it's open, it's ready to go. The internal committee would be chosen from your list of committees. As I mentioned before, you can set up all your committees at the administrative level. Once you do that, then you just go grab it right here, the tenure and promotion committee. So they form your internal reviewers, and then that's where you put your external reviewers. So once you're ready, you just notify them, and you're good to go. And then on the manage, this shows you all your candidates, and it will show you who's been notified, who's confirmed that their ePortfolio packages are complete and correct. And then you can go into each one of those, and there's a place for recommendation letters. Or you can just click on their ePortfolio, and if they've attached that, then you'll be able to see that live ePortfolio package there. The library here, so as I mentioned earlier, anything they've uploaded to the library becomes available to their reviewers. If they've done something special in the courses, then there's a place where the faculty can put a course narrative. So this ePortfolio package that's been instantiated, the file library, the course information. So once the reviewers have looked at all that, then they can click on review, and this pulls up the survey that they're being asked to fill out on the candidate. They can submit it, and then it's graphed across all the reviewers for that candidate, and then the recommendation is there for the dean to make.
Wow.
And I'm sorry, I can't show you that ePortfolio template. I haven't created it for that, but it would just be a template like we were seeing before, except it would be a PDF of that template.
Yep, I understand
And you can also pop that out if you want a bigger view of that. Anyway. Yeah, that's, again, you're working off the same data set. That's what's so good, I think, about this, that you, over the semester, over the year, over the 7-year period, you're working on the same data set. And it's the data support for a multiple number of different reports and across, accreditation or tenure promotion or annual evaluation, or just, for a CV for a faculty member. It's all the same data.
It's very comprehensive.
Yeah, we've got a query builder, scorecard builder, survey builder, syllabus. We've got a standardized template that you can create for undergraduate and graduate syllabi, and the faculty just log in and create their own syllabi. It comes pre-populated with all the boilerplate information that the university requires for a syllabus, and then they can fill in any extra that they want that makes that syllabus specific to their class. But it gives you a common template, not only for CVs, but for syllabi. So when your accrediting visitation team comes, they want to see all this information, and it's really nice if it's in the same format.
Yeah. Now, do you often have, I'm thinking about adjuncts now, do you often give them access to this, or do you often just download that format and ask them to fill it in and then re-upload it in here?
You mean your adjunct teachers?
Yes.
you can give them access to this if all they do is teach. If they don't really have any research or any service that they're putting in, I don't know that I would give them create an account for them, but you can if you want to.
Gotcha. So, John, just bringing this together a little bit. Let me just check on accuracy for this. So, for our School of Education with 32 faculty, what would be the cost again for that?
That would be, it'd be right at $2,500. You're 2 above the 30, so it'd be $2,550 if it's just the School of Education.
Got it. And your advice on the course evaluations, which again is our immediate issue, but I'm trying to look at a holistic improvement to course evaluations and activity reports, would be to either do course evaluations and pull the reports into Sedona, or use your survey tool to complete course evaluations.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You could do it either way, and if you've got a system there that you're happy with, then you could just pull those reports and attach those to sections and courses within a teaching schedule in Sedona if you wanted.
Okay. And the last question I'm going to ask you, just because I don't know, but I'm assuming you have competitors like Digital Measures.
Right.
How would you say your platform here, which I got to tell you I've been very impressed with, and I see why Steve was as well, but what would you say sets you apart from Digital Measures?
I don't really know that much about them. I know they have a full-time, they have 16 or so full-time salesmen. We don't sell this thing. It's just word of mouth. So I don't try to talk you into anything that you don't already really know. Anyway, there's a different philosophy, of course, between us and Digital Measures. They're our major competitor. We've been around a lot longer than they have, but they are growing very fast. I think I've had some of their customers call me asking for me to write modules for them, which I find amazing. I had 2 recently call me and say, we'd like to subscribe to Sedona just for the ePortfolio package. And they wanted me to write a link to Digital Measures so that it would have an ePortfolio capability. Evidently, they don't have that. I'm shocked, but I was told that they don't have that. Have you looked at it very closely?
No, I saw the end product of a colleague at another university who uses that, and what you have on your screen now is basically what I saw there, and just saw that was similar in that you enter evidence and artifacts of teaching and research and service, and that you can produce some reports. But again, based on my conversation with Steve in our business department, who is using Digital Measures, and said if I had it to do all over again, we'd probably move to Sedona, made me contact you.
Yeah, from what I've been told, and I can only tell you what people have told me, and the people who usually talk to me are those who like and use Sedona. But I do have a number of schools who have used both, and they've told me that there's really no comparison with regard to functionality. That's just, I have no data for that, but that's what I've been told.
Yeah, and I just wanted to ask because I haven't scheduled anything with them. But again, I'm trying to look at this, course evaluations, and like you said, hopefully you want faculty to be able to focus their time and efforts on creating new knowledge and new art, things for teaching lessons and things like that. And so I do get frustrated in how much time I'm going to spend on my portfolio this fall in anticipation for October submission, and thinking about, boy, I could be doing a lot of good things instead of that. And this is very, very, very comprehensive.
Right. Well, I will have a better feel for Digital Measures in about a year, because my son just took a position at a school where they use digital measures.
Yes,
And
you will.
yeah, and he is very familiar with Sedona. He's, in fact, I'll show you this. He's helped create tutorials. So any of these things that we've gone through, like the template builder, you can click on that and it will play you a flash tutorial and walk you through step by step how to do everything. You can, various data components out anyway, in the database. It will step you through so that you can see exactly how to do everything in Sedona.
Wow.
And he's in charge of those. So he's familiar with it. I'm anxious to see what his impressions are of digital measures.
Now, do you have people that work for you, John, or are you kind of on your own yet, marketing and doing these demos and keeping it up to date?
Well, we have 5 people who work in various capacities, but I'm the only one who has access to the code, and I keep it pretty tight.
So what happens when you retire?
Well, in the license agreement, I specify if for any reason we can't serve up the application, then we will give you access to the code. We'll dump the code so that you can put it on your own server. So
Okay.
you always have access to the data. There's this backup feature allows you to put the dean's password in and back up the entire database locally. So you can grab that whenever you want. But we also, in fact, you can see it here. This will become available to you if for whatever reason we can't service it. I mean, we've been doing this for 20 years. We don't anticipate that happening, but people do ask that. And so I've made it so that you'll be able to not only grab your data, but you'll be able to grab the actual code and serve it on your local servers there.
Okay. Well, no, and I don't mean to press. I just, if you're tapping into a solution like this long term with so much data,
Yeah.
you really have to think long term.
Yeah, that's a good question, and we that's how we have addressed that. Every